So welcome, Catherine, to our PASSPORTal Global Connections today with France and with our Greek team as well. So with no further ado, the floor is yours. Thank you so much for doing this. I will turn my camera to my class.
Hello. Bonjour.
Bonjour. Bonjour é francês, ok? Bonjour, bom dia. Ok, go ahead. Eu não quero parvoíces.
Okay, so shall I start now, Manuela?
Thank you.
All right. So I just need to see how I will share.
Okay. So when you see your
You can see that écran partagé. This must be that.
okay. If you have any sound in your presentation, you need to tick a little box at the bottom that says share sound or something like that, or share audio.
I don't have sound. I preferred not to put any because I knew it could be a difficulty.
No worries.
So can you see my screen now?
Yeah, perfectly.
Okay, right. So do you see also a little box with the Zoom screens?
Yes, it's a big screen now.
So you can see everything, even the image on the right of the first slide?
Yeah.
Okay, because on the right of my screen, I see you, so that's why I was asking. Okay, so
little box and your presentation on the other side in big.
Right. Okay, so that's fine. So hello, students. I'm very happy to be here with you today. I'll just start to introduce myself so that you know a bit about me. So my name is Catherine. I'm French, and I'm a teacher librarian, which means I'm in charge of the school library, and I also teach everything which is linked to how to do a research and how not to be mistaken by fake news or things like that. So I work in a middle school with pupils from 11 to 15 in Rueil-Malmaison, which is a city very close to Paris. And actually, I first came to Paris as a student, and I've been living here for more than 30 years now. And from my balcony, I can see the top part of the Eiffel Tower, and I like it very much. So for people who live in Paris and around Paris, it's really part of the landscape. And this is the reason why I'm very happy to talk to you about her today. I say her, I shouldn't in English, I should say it, but we really consider it as nearly a person. In France, we nicknamed the Eiffel Tower the Iron Lady. We say la Dame de Fer, so the Iron Lady. So the Eiffel Tower is usually considered as a symbol of Paris and even of France, globally speaking. It is one of the most visited touristic attractions in the world, with 7 million visitors each year. And I think that every tourist coming to Paris wants to visit the Eiffel Tower. But I am certain that you don't know that normally the Eiffel Tower should not be part of the Parisian landscape today. It should have been destroyed. So I will tell you the story of the Eiffel Tower because it's really an interesting one. So why was it built in the first time? It was for the what we call Exposition, and in its World Fair. It was at which all the countries in the world presented projects that they had realized, and especially in science and technology, to show how advanced they were in industrialization, in research. And so the Eiffel Tower was built for the World Fair at the end of the 19th century in 1889. So there was a contest organized before to know which project would represent France. And Gustave Eiffel proposed this tower. So at that time, Gustave Eiffel was already a famous engineer. He had constructed a few things, and what is interesting is that one of the first things he constructed was in Portugal. So he's the engineer who built the Dom Luís Bridge over the river Douro in Porto. So I don't know if you know this place.
Yeah.
But
Very close to our town, 20.
okay. So this guy, Gustave Eiffel, who built the Eiffel Tower, he's also the one who built this metallic bridge. And you can recognize the kind of structure, metallic structure he used to build. He also built a very big viaduct, so that's a big bridge of a valley of a river in Garabit in the center of France. And he's also the one who built the metallic structure of the dome of the observatory in Nice in the south of France to look at the stars. And what he's famous for is the Statue of Liberty. So he's not the sculptor, he's not the person who did the sculpture. That is Auguste Bartholdi, another French guy, but he was the engineer who constructed a metallic structure which helped the Statue of Liberty not to fall under its weight, because it was so heavy, it needed to have a metallic structure. So Gustave Eiffel was already well known as an engineer, and he also had his own firm, which means he had the factory, he had the engineers, he had workers that he used to work with and who were used to his way of working too. So it made it easier for him to build the Eiffel Tower in a very short time, because they had been working together for a while, and especially on metallic structures, and more precisely bridges. That's what he loved to do, it's building bridges. So an engineer working with him drew the first plans, and they were actually a bit different from the actual Eiffel Tower. So you can see on the left, the first plans, the first drawings. On the right, it was a bit changed, and they only kept 3 different platforms, and the shape changed a bit too. He also insisted that if he was to build this tower, he wanted it to be in the middle of Paris. And this was a bit a problem at first, because the persons who chose the project, they would have preferred that he built such a big tower not in the middle of Paris, but for him it was essential that it was in the middle of Paris. So insisted on that, and the Eiffel Tower is in fact really in the center of Paris. And so he won the contest with his project, and he started building the tower in January 1887. But he had to face many difficulties. So you can see the first, the different steps of the project. So he had different difficulties. First, it was a very huge project. No one had ever built such a high tower. At that time, the highest monuments that existed were half the height of the Eiffel Tower. So the Eiffel Tower was meant to be 300 meters high, and there was nothing built that was more than 150 meters at that time. So it was really a big project. and in itself, it was difficult to build. Another project and another difficulty was that the people in Paris were opposed to the project because they said it would be ugly. They didn't like the drawings. They didn't like the idea that it was metallic because at that time everything was built in stone. So the Parisians were opposed to the project, the neighbors were opposed, and there was even a letter written by more than 300 artists, writers, painters, to say that it was something ugly and they did not want it to be built. He also had technical difficulties. Not only because it was big, but also because it was so high, he had to use new techniques to lift the different parts, the metallic parts, and to put them together. So he used steam-powered cranes. So the use of steam was recent, but he managed to have new machines powered by steam, which allowed him to build it because there were cranes, things, now they are like big arms which lift elements. And at that time, he had cranes that ascended along the Eiffel Tower at the same time as it was built up. Another difficulty was that he chose to build the Eiffel Tower next to the river Seine, which goes through Paris. And so because he needed to dig very big holes to put the pillars in the soil, the water started coming up because it was next to the river. And he had to pump up the water all along the work until he had cemented the foundations. So that was also a big challenge for him, but he managed to find solutions to do that. Then he had trouble with the workers because it was a very difficult and dangerous job. And even if the workers were, for most of them, used to work with him, he also had to recruit other people, and they wanted to be paid more because it was dangerous, and he didn't have the money. And the bank would not give him the money. Well, the bank gave him money, but would not give him more money until the first level was built. So he had to negotiate with the workers and to say, I don't have the money now to pay you now, but I will pay you later. And in the end, they managed to reach a deal, an agreement, and so the work was carried on. So in the end, it took them a very short time. If you think of all the difficulties, it only took them 2 years and 2 months to build all the metallic structures and to assemble them to have the Eiffel Tower as we know it now. He used more than 7,300 tons of steel. He used 18,000 metallic pieces, which is really a big number. And he used lots of things to put them together, which we call rivets. It was a specific technique he used to assemble the pieces, and he needed 2.5 million rivets to build it. And then he needed 60 tons of paint to paint the Eiffel Tower because it's so big. So it was really a very big project for the time, and there were between 250 and 300 men who worked on this project from the start to the end. I put here the different colors of the Eiffel Tower because first the Eiffel Tower was painted in red. The original color of the Eiffel Tower is red, and then it changed a few number of times. From the start, Gustave Eiffel had pointed out that the painting of the Eiffel Tower was essential to keep it. That if he wanted that the Eiffel Tower remained without rust, without problems, it needed to be painted very often. And so even now, every 7 years, we have to paint it again. So sometimes they change the color, and you can see the different colors which were used. At the time, it was yellow. I didn't know that. And now it's more like a bronze or iron color. It's more grayish, but the original color was red. So it was finally inaugurated just before the World Fair started. And as I said, it should not have been in Paris right now. It should have been dismounted, because the agreement was that what was built for the World Fair would only stay 20 years. After 20 years, Gustave Eiffel should have destroyed his tower, but he didn't want to, of course. It was like the work of his life. So he didn't want to do that. And he did something to save his tower. He used it to make scientific experiments. And once that everyone had understood that it was really important for science to use the Eiffel Tower, it was saved. So what he did is he used it for two main objectives. The first one was for a weather forecasting station. You know, he installed tools to measure the speed of the wind, the degree of water in the air, and all these things. So there's still today a weather forecasting station at the top level of the Eiffel Tower. And the second thing is he used it for telecommunication, because it was so high. It was a really good place to have first for the telegraph, which had just been invented, to have a station, a telecommunication station. And as the First War came soon afterwards, people realized that telecommunications were really important. So the fact that it was first the telegraph, then the radio station, and in the end, the first television broadcasting station was also at the top of the Eiffel Tower. All this saved the Eiffel Tower from being destroyed as normally it should have been. And then there was a second danger for the Eiffel Tower, and not only for the Eiffel Tower. I don't know if you know this, but during the Second World War, the Germans occupied Paris and a big part of France for 4 years, or the northern part of France. And when the Allies had landed in Normandy, and when the Germans knew that they were losing the war, Hitler ordered the general who was in charge of Paris, and his name was General von Choltitz. He told him to destroy as many monuments in Paris as he could. So there are many things in Paris which could have been destroyed by the Germans when they left Paris at the end of the Second World War. But this general, he was in love with Paris. He loved the city, and he refused to do that. So he saved Paris because it didn't obey the orders of Hitler. So today, the Eiffel Tower is a touristic attraction. You can find at the top level they have built the office of Gustave Eiffel looked like, because after he built the Eiffel Tower, he also created an office for himself at the top level, and that's where he continued working and doing his scientific experiments. So if you visit the Eiffel Tower today, you can see, well, you can't go into it, but you can see it through the windows. You can see what it looked like, and you can even see a metallic structure in the middle of the office. It's very funny. So today you can go up to the third level. Either you take the stairs, but I think there are 1,700 stairs, so you have to be very sporty. And with the stairs, you can only go to the second platform. If you want to go up to the top, or just if you don't want to walk, you need to take a lift. There are many different lifts on the different pillars, so you can go up the Eiffel Tower.
May I ask you a quick question?
Yeah, sure.
Where is this office in the tower? Is it in the second or the third floor?
It's on the third floor, I think, if I remember it well. Yeah.
Because I was in the Eiffel Tower, but I was not allowed to go that up. But I remember this picture. Maybe I saw a picture or something somewhere.
Yeah. It's definitely on the last level because it's very tiny, and yes, I haven't been there for a while, but I've been quite a number of times, and it's on the third level. So you have to go back to visit it. And so when the sky is clear, and I don't know, it doesn't happen all the time, but when the sky is clear, they say that you can see as far as 70 kilometers around Paris. Because it's so high, you have a very nice view over the region. What is interesting too is that the Eiffel Tower is higher today than it was at the time. By the way, at first we didn't call it the Eiffel Tower. We used to call it the Eiffel Tower now after the name of his creator, but at the time the project was called the 300-meter tower, a 300-meter high tower. That was his name. It was just, just to say we're going to build a tower that will be 300 meters. But as soon as on the inauguration day, they put a mast on top of the Eiffel Tower to be able to put the French flag flying. So that was already 312 meters, I think. And now with all the equipment I showed you, I think it's 324 meters. But as you can see on this graphic, now 300 meters is nothing. I chose a graphic on which there are all the towers which have been built since. There's just the two on the right. I think I'm not quite sure they have been constructed. The one on the extreme right, I'm sure they never finished it. And the other, I'm not sure. But today, the highest tower which has been built in the world, do you know where it is? Do you know which one it is?
Abu Dhabi.
Have you got an idea?
Dubai.
Yeah, you're right. It's in Dubai. It's called the Burj Khalifa, like that. They had a project to build something even higher in Saudi Arabia, in China too. But I know that some projects have been, they haven't been able to carry them to the end. So up to now, the highest tower is the one in Dubai. So as you have understood, up to until now, it's used as a weather forecasting station, as a telecommunication station. It's a touristic attraction, and it's also used for communication in big events. Because it's so high and we see it from everywhere, first, it's always been lighted. At first, there were big lights which light from the ground, and during the years they have added lights on the Eiffel Tower itself, and especially at the turn of the century, when we started the 21st century on the first. Well, actually, I'm not sure that 2000 was really the 21st century, but anyway, on the 1st of January of the year 2000, they started a new lighting for the turn of the century. So they are, I think, more than 20,000 light bulbs, which are installed on the Eiffel Tower on the four sides. And there's also a big light at the top, like on a lighthouse, and it goes round. I think it's called a beacon. It's a very big light you can see from very far away. And if one day you arrive in Paris by plane at night, you will see it from the sky because it's very powerful. And so with the different lights, they can change the colors of the Eiffel Tower. So as you can see on the middle picture, we can put the colors of the French flag for big celebrations, like when the French football team wins the World Championship. But we can also use it to, for instance, this year, now, from January to June, France is leading the works of the European Union. So we had the European colors, the colors of the European flags on the Eiffel Tower beginning of the year. But it was also used, for instance, when Nelson Mandela died. There was his picture, his name, and his dates, which were written on the first level of the Eiffel Tower. And even when Neymar Jr., I'm sure you know Neymar Jr., when he joined the Paris Football Club, there was something written on the Eiffel Tower. I'm not sure we can compare Mandela and Neymar, but the thing is, he was welcome in Paris by a message on the Eiffel Tower. So to
Dá-me a sensação que eles apontam lá na ponte.
So to conclude with the Eiffel Tower, I will just say that it's not only, I think, the most iconic and beloved tower because it's touristic, but it's also because it's associated with the idea we have of Paris and France. And Paris is often nicknamed the city of light and love. So there's a big romantic idea about Paris. And I think the Eiffel Tower is really the symbol of it. So that's what I had to say about the Eiffel Tower. So if you have questions before I carry on with France, just feel free to ask, or if you prefer, I can show you some more things about France and then you ask questions. It's just as you prefer.
Alguém tem uma pergunta para fazer agora sobre a torre, que a professora agora vai falar um bocadinho da França no geral. Alguém tem alguma dúvida, alguma questão que queira pôr sobre a torre? No? Greek team, do you have any questions for Catherine? Maybe not.
Can you hear us?
Yes.
We have no questions.
Okay.
Okay, so please go on.
So I'll carry on and we'll see if they have questions later. So as I told you, Paris, the Eiffel Tower is the symbol of Paris and of France, generally speaking. I'm sure you know that the next Olympic Games will be in Paris in 2024. And you will see at the end of the slides, I've put the symbol, the graphic they have chosen to represent these Olympic Games. And you will see that they managed to represent the Eiffel Tower with the numbers 2 and 4. You will see that later. So it's just to say that really the Eiffel Tower represents France everywhere. And like, I don't know if you see that, I've got that key to hold my keys. It's a little Eiffel Tower. You can find it everywhere. And people in Paris really love the Eiffel Tower. It's like it's part of us. So I wanted to give you some interesting facts about France. And then, as I can't tell you everything about my country, it would take 3 hours, I chose to focus on the great diversity of landscapes. You will understand when I show you. So just to give you a few facts, in France nowadays, we haven't reached yet, I think it's around 68 million people. So it's a rather populated country in Europe. It's not the most populated because Germany has got more people, but it's a rather big country in Europe. And the area of France is more than 500,000 square kilometers. And you can see I put a second number, which is 633 square kilometers, because that's if you take into account all the different bits and pieces of French territories which are overseas. And I will show you a map so that you understand, because France has been, France was a colonial country, colonial empire, and we still have some territories overseas, so that accounts for the difference in the area. So the political system is a republic. You may have heard that we have just elected again a new president, which is actually not new because we re-elected the same, but it's a republic with a president. We do not have a king or queen. There is no state religion, contrary to other countries. So you are free to have the religion you want, but France is also well known for the principle of what we call laïcité, which means you shouldn't show your religion in public space, or you shouldn't show it in a way that would make other people feel pressure to take your religion. So the idea is no state religion. There's only one official language, which is French. We have many regional languages in France, but there's only one official language, and the all official papers, everything, it's always in French and no other language. We have a national hymn that you may have heard in sport events that is called La Marseillaise. And we have as a motto, Liberté, Égalité, Fraternité, which means freedom, equality, brotherhood. So this goes back to the French Revolution. Well, actually, everything goes back to the French Revolution, a national hymn, a national day. So that was in our flag too. That was in 1789. We had a king before, and then there was a revolution. And since then, we have had kings at other times, but basically from the French Revolution, the people took the power in France. So everything celebrates that. Our national day is on July the 14th. That was Bastille Day. That was actually, the Bastille was a prison where people were imprisoned by the king. And on July the 14th, 1789, the revolutionaries went there and freed the prisoners. They destroyed the prison. And the flag the flag is blue, white, and red, as you can see on these slides, because the blue and red were the colors, the two colors of the revolutionaries, and they come on both sides of white, which represented the color of the king. So that's the origin of a flag. And as a currency, we have the same as you have since a few years, we have the euro. So that's what I wanted to say about facts. I'm not going to give you more figures. When I was talking about the different places in France, in the world, this is a map of France and a map of the French overseas territory. So in the pictures you're going to see a bit later, you will see pictures from Brittany. Brittany is my region, actually. It's the most beautiful region in France. No, I'm joking, but actually, if you ask French people, Brittany is the most beloved region of France for French people, for many of them, because of its landscapes, because of what we eat there. And so people really like going on holidays to Brittany. The only thing is that we don't have the same weather as the south of France. It's not on the Mediterranean, it's on the Atlantic. So it's not as sunny sometimes. The water is not warm as the Mediterranean, but more and more people like to go there. So I will show you pictures of Brittany, which is this part on the western part. If you go a bit southern, you can see the river Gironde, which goes to Bordeaux. Maybe your teachers can show you on the picture, they know better. And so you will see pictures of the, we have a very high sand dune, which is the highest in Europe, which is called the Pila sand dune. I will show you a picture of it. And there's also a big forest, a pine forest in the Landes, which is quite well known. And if you go even southern to the Spanish border, there's what we call the Basque country, which is a region which is both in France and Spain, and with a typical landscape too. I will also show you a picture of Normandy, which is on the north of France, northwest of Paris.
Catherine,
Yes?
we are not seeing the pictures. Are you showing the pictures already?
Yes, what can you see then?
The map.
Oh yes, no, yes, I'm showing the map. You're right, not the picture. I thought you said you didn't see my screen. For now, I'm showing you the map so that they can locate it when they see the pictures. But maybe you have to show them on the map, because I don't know if I can show it. If I have a tool to show something on the map here. I don't know about Zoom. Oh. Yes, I found it. So can you see the red light?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so I was talking about Brittany. This is this part of France. So you will see a picture of Brittany. You will see a picture of the sand dune, which is somewhere here. And the land forest is here, and the Basque country is here next to Spain. You will also see a picture from Normandy, which is here, not very far from Paris. Paris is here, okay? And so Normandy is here. Actually, it goes all here. I have some pictures of Burgundy, which is around here, where wines are produced. I put a picture of the Auvergne volcanoes, which is this old mountain here. I will show you. Pictures of the Alps, which are these younger mountains next to Italy and Switzerland. I will show you a picture of Provence, which goes here, and Camargue, which is a swamp at the south of France, next to, not very far from Marseille. And then you will also see pictures, and that's why I need to show you on the map. You will also see pictures of French Polynesia, for instance, which all kind of paradise islands. You will see the pictures. You will see pictures of New Caledonia, which is not far from Australia. You will see a picture from Guyana, which has a border with Brazil and a very different landscape. These are what we call the Antilles, next to Cuba, and it's in the Caribbean Sea. And there's also something at the, I can't see it here. I don't see it on my screen, but it's next to Madagascar on the east of, it should be somewhere here on the east of Africa. So now I will show you okay. So can you see the pictures now?
Yes, yes. Olha os olhos, olha. Que lindo. Olha a Normandia.
So here are the French Alps, which are really big mountains. And actually, you know what? I didn't know what I would show you. Maybe I could have shown you what we eat in France, because we spend a lot of time eating in my country, and there are very different regional dishes. But because I went to holiday in European country a few weeks ago, I realized, and in this country, I got the impression the landscape was the same everywhere. It was, you know, Belgium and the Netherlands, because it's flat everywhere. And I realized that in France, we have very different landscapes. And I thought, okay, we have a different landscape, but we don't have everything. And I thought, for instance, about the Amazon forest, like, you know, in Brazil. And then I said, yes, we have Amazonian forest in France, because there's Guyana. That's the reason why I chose to show you this, the landscapes, because it's really striking, all the different landscapes you can find in France. So you see mountains in the Alps, and we have Normandy with the cliffs, which you can find exactly the same cliffs on the other side of the channel in the south of Great Britain. They have exactly the same cliffs in Dover, because it was the same territory, and during millions of thousands of years, it was separated, but at first it was the same soil. Then you can also find Camargue, as I said, is in the south of France, and it's the place where the big river Rhône, the Rhône, which goes south through Lyon, Avignon, and it goes to the south of France. And it doesn't, you know, some rivers, they go into the sea just in one shot. But like in, I think in Lisboa, that's it. You see the river, it goes into the sea. I mean, it goes a bit wider, but it's just one river. And sometimes when it's very flat, it goes in many different little rivers when it reaches the sea. That's what in France we call it a delta. I don't know if you use the same word in geography in English, but it means that the river reaches the sea by different little rivers, and so it makes a big area where there's water. It's a big swamp, and that's the place in France where you can see pink flamingos and wild horses, and there are also some farmers who make rice. Well, it's a very specific region in France, and you can see the pink thing is the I don't know the name. They take the salt out of the sea, and that's also a local production. So that's what it is. And
No.
yeah, this we call saline. Yeah,
Yeah, it's the same in
exactly.
Portuguese.
Okay.
So it in pink.
Well, it's in pink because of a special, I think, as I understood it, with a special plant in the sea. And that's also the plant that the flamingos eat. And that's why the flamingos are pink too, if I understood it well. So that's funny to see that. And so I was talking about the big sand dune. It's more than 100 meters high, and it's the highest in Europe. And it's really funny because there's the forest everywhere around, and you can climb this big dune as if you were in the Sahara Desert, and you don't really know why it is here. So if you go to the western part, the western coast of France, you should really go and visit it because it's really beautiful, and there are many people going just to see that. And then oh yes, I didn't show on the map. Corsica is an island very close to France, next to the south coast. It's also close to Sicily in Italy. And so in this island, you also can find paradise beaches with very clear blue waters and also mountains. It's a very beautiful place. On the right, you can see the very flat valley of Burgundy with the wine. You can see the grapes being cultivated here, and that's where that's one of the big regions where we produce wine in France. Another big region being the Bordeaux area, not very far from the Pila Dune. I showed you the Alps, which are very tall mountains, but we also have an old mountain in France. It's what we call Massif Central, and it's in a region which is called Auvergne. It's in the center of France, and it used to be volcanoes. But now they are not active any longer. You can go and walk without any danger. And it's a very nice place because you still have the volcanoes holes, and it's all green, and it's really beautiful. On the right, you can see Brittany I was talking about. So Brittany is, it's not an island, but it's nearly an island because there's the sea everywhere around. And the sea is very present in Brittany. It was a place where there were many farmers and people who fish. It was a very poor region of France up to recently, and it's well known for all these rocks you can see on the picture, all the stone houses and the lighthouses too. And also it's people like it because it's a place where there are still very vivid traditions. People keep talking the regional language, which is Breton. Well, not all of them, but there are many people, and they keep dancing the traditional dances, and they eat some very traditional dishes. And there will be very soon, you may know, the Eurovision contest. Do you know about it? You know, when all the countries have a singer who sings for the country, and we have to vote. So I don't know exactly when it is, but I wonder if it's not in the coming week. And if you have a look at it, you will see that this year France is represented by a regional group from my region, Brittany, and they sing in the regional language, which is very interesting because I think it's the first time that France is represented by a singer who sings in the regional language. There are other regional languages in France. People in Corsica have a language. People in the Basque country, people in the region which is in which they speak the same, the French region, which is close to Catalonia. They also have Catalonia in Spain. They also have a regional language. And also in the far east of France, next to Germany, they have a regional language. But usually people don't show it, don't use it on a national scale. And this time, the fact that in Eurovision you can hear the original language is quite interesting. Then you can see Provence, which is in the south of France and which was well known at a few decades ago, because there were many people from Great Britain who fell in love with this region and decided to settle there. So there are many people, English-speaking people who live there. It's a very beautiful country too, and they have lavender fields, as you can see. So it's very typical landscape. I also put a picture of the Alps in winter, because that's also part of the landscape. As the Alps are a very high mountain, we have snow during winter and all the winter sports too. Then there is a Basque country I was talking about, which is close to the Spanish border, the Landes pine forest. And as you can see, everything, every time it changes completely the landscape because of the specificities of the region. And now that is Overseas France. So you can see the Réunion Island, which is on the eastern coast of Africa, next to Madagascar. And they actually have active volcanoes. There is a volcano which is still active, and very frequently you can see the I don't know how you call it, you know, what goes outside of the volcano, which is red and very hot, and you don't have to go close to it. It can be very dangerous. So it's a part of France where you can still have volcanic activity. And here's French Guiana, which is close to Brazil, and in which you can find the Amazonian forest, which is quite funny. Say that it's France. That's French Polynesia I was talking about, which is often considered as a paradise island. And as you can see, it's very different from what I've shown you before. So it's really a great diversity of landscapes. And on the right side, you can see Saint-Pierre-et-Miquelon, which is close to Canada. And in this island, it is a French island. I mean, they just voted for the president too, but it is so far away from France that often people in France don't even know that it's French. And in this place, in winter, they have snow, they have ice, it's very cold. It has nothing to do with Polynesia, for instance. Here's New Caledonia, which is next to Australia. And this place precisely is called the Pine Island. And on the right side, you can see the French Antilles, which are in the Caribbean Sea with the typical trees and the roots which are outside the water, and it's called la mangrove. It's a mangrove swamp. It's also a very typical place. So to finish, I just wanted to show you the what I told you about the Olympic Games. You see what they have done to represent the Paris Olympic Games. They took the numbers to say that it's 24 because it will be in 2024. So you have the 2 in blue. You have the the 4 with both the 2 and the other thing, so it makes the 4. And if you look at it from far away, you think, well, that's the Eiffel Tower, isn't it? So it was just to show you that the Eiffel Tower is really a symbol of Paris.
Okay.
So that's for me. Now, if you have questions,
Okay.
well, please feel free.
Do you have any questions? Alguém tem?
Για αυτούς ρωτάει.
Greek team.
Τώρα νομίζω μας λένε. We have no questions.
Okay.
Θα πούμε ένα μέσα στη μаса.
Merci à vous.
Να δεν ακούγεται καθαρά.
Can you please unshare your screen so that you can see you?
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
That's it.
We would like to thank you. Oh, merci. Beaucoup.
De rien.
And we would also like to take a picture with you. Is that okay? Can we take a picture?
For the quality of my camera, but yes, we can, sure.
Okay, so I will tag you. And you will be here in big. And you have to pose for a couple of minutes because the kids need to move in front of the screen.
Okay. I have no idea how you do that, so I'll leave you do.
Picture with you, okay?
Okay.
I will mute myself so that you don't hear the sound. Just a moment.
Okay.
Greek team, you can do the same.
Έχουμε διάλειμμα. Γίνεται, ναι.
Thank you so much. They learned a lot and they wrote, they took some notes about what you said. So thank you so much for your presentation. I will share everything with you, the photos I took and the video that will be on YouTube as unlisted and not listed. And later today I will share. I'm creating a collection, a wakelet collection with everything. So you will get everything. Okay?
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Yeah. I will stay a little longer. I'm talking with the Greek team. So we say goodbye to you. Oh, pessoal.
Bye.
Adeus ao professor. Sem mudar. Bye bye.
Bye. Au revoir.
Olha, sempre Luís. Okay. Okay, Greek team. Just I'm
Break.
eu não quero. I'm interrupting the